So, I want to ask you, the first question I want to pop to you is a question that was asked by Reese Sample, who is an organizer for Freedom, which does the Thursday night open mic,
Okay.
9 o'clock every week at the Bowling Green Student Union. And she's doing some project, and she wants to ask two questions. And one is, if there's anything you want to change in America, what do you want to change?
If there's anything in America, probably either abolishing our draconian, well, I guess either one could be described as draconian, but either our death penalty laws or our drug laws, I think, yeah, in general. Which one? I think they're both equally important. I mean, one is obviously a serious moral issue. I mean, we were talking about that earlier today. Aside from the practical issues of the death penalty, there's also serious moral issues at stake. Drug enforcement, though, and imprisoning nonviolent drug offenders, I think, is a serious issue too. I mean, with prison overcrowding and turning what essentially I believe are nonviolent drug offenders into criminals when they, enter the big house, even though it may only be for a couple of months or something like that. I think is just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, moving from Ohio to California, I'm certainly not a lawyer or judicial scholar or anything like that, but I mean, I guess the problem is much more in your face when you're out in California. You see what serious prison overcrowding is doing in our state, or my new state, and they're taking steps to, I guess, rectify it in some way, but I think it's still a very serious problem now.
Why those two different issues? I mean, why U.S. drug policy and prison issue, or all the other issues that you can be focusing on? There's something that happened in your life that made you zero in on these two particular issues?
Yeah, it is kind of weird. I was wondering why I picked those. I was I was kind of thinking I got to come up with an answer here. Yeah, I mean, I have lots of issues with our foreign policy, but I don't know why I chose two domestic things. Nothing really happened to me in my life that I can really think of is why I feel so strongly about the death penalty. As far as drug enforcement, I mean, I'm just like anybody else or most people, I think, who experimented or continue to experiment throughout their life, and I just I'm a big fan, as you are, of Bill Hicks and amongst other guys who I think said it quite succinctly and said, it's not a war on drugs, it's a war on personal freedom, and in either one of those issues, I think. It's essentially boils down to very much like the government's role in our lives, and I'm certainly not a libertarian or anything like that, but I think the government saying essentially that they can kill you, and the government telling you what you can put in your body, and and with abortion, the government telling you as well, telling women what they can do with their body is just is wrong, and. But I think, with the only one that affects me, personally, obviously, is the drug issue, because, a lot of people are a frequent user of cannabis, and, I just see, I live in a city, Oakland, California, who has its fair share of problems, but one thing I'm proud of living in Oakland, California, is that it's kind of jokingly called Oaksterdam, downtown Oakland, where, you have a lot of these pot clubs where, you can buy cannabis for free. And, I'll tell you one thing, the crime problem in Oakland has nothing to do with that, but I think it is essentially, it's a medicine. It helps people. At least, that particular illegal, illicit drug. And, I mean, it does a lot of good things for people, and to outlaw it is, it's criminal, I guess.
Do you draw the line between like soft drugs like cannabis and hard like addictive drugs like heroin or crack cocaine?
No, no. I do when I if you're going to make the argument of is one medicinal versus the other, in some sense, but at various points in human history, all the aforementioned drugs have been used medicinally for different purposes, and I think there's probably more medical uses for marijuana versus heroin. I mean, of course, heroin derives from opium, morphine. Well, all that derives from the same plant. So there's a lot of different uses for the opiates, but as a painkiller. So to specifically say one versus the other, but as far as when it comes down to personal freedom and what the government should be legislating and getting into your personal life, I don't think cocaine is any different than marijuana.
What do you think people should do, or the law should do, in relation to people intensely addicted to crack cocaine or other forms of drugs? How they should be treated?
That's a great question. I've thought about this for a long time, and I think it really comes down to treatment for people who want to seek it out, and who are badly addicted to these things. And I think it's been, there's the CIA didn't necessarily introduce crack cocaine to the inner city, but they certainly made its access and the ability to get cocaine and have it synthesized within the United States has been proven. There is a link between that and CIA. So they've to a large extent have caused the epidemic that's taking over urban areas in the United States. And anybody who's lived in a major city, be it Detroit or Toledo or Oakland or wherever, crack is, specifically crack, and heroin as well. It's not pretty. I'm all for legalizing, but people do need help, and to give somebody help is not to throw them into prison, because that does absolutely nothing, and it only makes the matter worse. And like you said, to the original problem, prison overcrowding, that is the problem. That's the crux of the problem, I think.